Have you ever sat through a presentation that dazzled but didn't really deliver? I often see strategy presentations that are slick, well designed, brilliantly delivered, and strategically empty. They're all spin and no substance. And this isn't the fault of the presenters, it's the fault of the leaders sitting in the audience. And by the end of this 5-minute seminar, you'll understand why that is and how to get strategic substance from your team. Not long ago, I was on a judging panel as young executives from a bioscience company pitched their new business ideas. Their presentations were creative, enthusiastic, and visually stunning. Slick slide decks with lots of visually impressive graphics. But none of the pitches addressed the strategic fundamentals. Target markets were poorly defined, value propositions were weak, and the competitive capabilities were barely mentioned. Now, these were smart, capable people, but they'd learned to prioritise polish over depth. The rest of the panel, senior executives from the same company, loved the pitches, but I didn't. Where they saw polish, I saw strategic weakness, and where they saw style, I saw lack of substance. What my Texan friends call big hats with no cattle. Later, over dinner with those executives, I hesitated to speak up, but I knew we had to address the elephant in the room. So we discussed the presentations, and finally we agreed that the pitches weren't really what we needed. More importantly, we discussed why these bright young people hadn't delivered. What we realised was that over time, praise for polish has rewarded style over substance. This shaped the younger executives' behaviour. In Darwinian terms, the internal environment had created a selection pressure that favoured spin and disfavoured strategic depth. This is what evolutionary scientists call a pleiotropic effect, an unintended consequence of a well-intentioned practice. This unintended consequence isn't unique to any one firm, it's quite the opposite. It's common to many life science companies and across all industries, although it's especially common, I think, in the consulting industry. But leaders can change the environment and change the selection pressures to strongly favour strategy fundamentals. In fact, tailoring the selection pressures created by the internal environment is one of the most important roles of leadership. Metaphorically, leaders are like gardeners. They shape the soil in which strategic thinking grows. So here's the lesson. If you praise what you like, slick presenting style, for example, you'll get more of that. But if you want what you need, for example, strategic substance, then you must create an environment that values and selects for that. That means focusing attention and feedback on things like segmentation, targeting, positioning. And it's also being less concerned with pretty visuals. So ask yourself, are you rewarding what looks good or what works? If your organisation suffers from style over substance syndrome, let's talk. As well as being an academic and author, I help pharma and medtech strategists evolve their strategic capabilities. I do this using my research into the Darwinian evolution of our industry and 4 decades of practical experience as a scientist and strategist in the business. If our industry matters to you, subscribe, share and explore my work. My website has a free library of over 400 articles and papers. My YouTube channel has over 100 videos. But best of all, let's have a cup of tea and a chat about how my research can help you.